All right, good morning, everybody. I believe we are all here as far as panelists. I want to thank everybody who's joining as an attendee. We're going to get started in just a second. Just a few ground rules. Have all the attendees on mute. So please respect that for the duration of the webinar. We encourage questions, however, so please use the Q&A text box on the side. Type your questions throughout this webinar, and we'll certainly cover those at the end if we have time. And if we don't have time, we'll certainly follow up with you individually to make sure that you have the resources and the answers you need. This is being recorded, so and we'll post it on our website. So if you have businesses in your network benefit from this information, it'll certainly be viewable in the future. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. Introduce the mayor to kick it. Mayor, unfortunately, won't be able to stick with us for the entire webinar, but certainly appreciate your attendance, and to kick off here. And, I want to thank you for, not only your leadership, your support for small businesses, not just in the response to COVID-19, but throughout your administration. So, Mayor.
Thank you, Carl. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Mike. Hi, Sarah, Ava, and hello, all the committee members. Just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to the staff and to the chairs for being willing to volunteer your time. Everyone's so incredibly busy, and just want to say a sincere thank you for taking your time to help our entire community help rebound for the day after COVID. To all the attendees, thank you. We're hand-selected because you all have different skill sets and represent different small business industries and have shown just your innovation and ingenuity over the last several years, and we believe that you'll help us rebound to ensure that we're a stronger community after COVID-19. Just want to say a couple of things. One, when I had the opportunity to speak with Mike and Sarah Ava, we looked at what some of our goals of the small business were, and I was pretty broad with the goals that I provided them, just because I know all of you are experts in your own fields, and I don't run a small business, and you all have courage and tenacity that I just don't quite honestly have myself, and I respect you too much to put all these very specific goals on you. But some of those goals are, number one, we want to make sure that our community and specifically our small businesses are put in the best position to ensure that we're getting as much state and federal relief dollars as possible. Second is, we know that we have so many amazing businesses out there. We want to be there as a support system for these existing small businesses. Our community, if you look back at the city of Rockford's history, we were built by individuals who had an unbelievable idea, but on top of that, they had tremendous work ethic and invested themselves into their businesses that helped build our community. And I know it's frequently said, but small businesses, really in Rockford, you are the backbone of our city. and we need to make sure that you are up and running even far better than you were prior to COVID-19. There's a couple of things, and I'm sure staff will go into them further, but there's a number of initiatives that we've done throughout this crisis just to get everyone up to speed on some of these. First, almost immediately, we worked with about 8 different financial institutions, as well as the county and the Rockford Local Development Corporation, to bring together a $2 million emergency relief loan pool. Secondly, we then immediately went to deferring different fees that small businesses often need to pay. And those are liquor and tobacco fees and things similar to that. We've also deferred hotel tax and food and beverage tax. We've also suspended all water shutoffs and late penalties at this time. And then most recently, our team, Carl and Jonathan, helped develop a program utilizing some of the dollars that we're going to get from the CARES Act to provide a $1.3 million no-interest loan pool for small businesses. So we are trying to think as creatively as we possibly can here at the city, but we really want to make sure everyone, first and foremost, is made whole and can get up and running safely and responsibly and sustainably. But also, we don't want to just get to where we were, back in February. We were on, I think, a great trajectory, but that simply won't be good enough. We need to think about where we as a community want to be in the next 6 months, the next year, next 24 months, so that we are really flourishing and helping you all flourish. Because quite honestly, the city of Rockford won't do very well if our small businesses aren't doing exceptionally well. So just again, thank you so much for all of your time, all of your energy that you're going to put forward in this committee, and specifically a tremendous thank you to Mike and Sarah Ava for your time and your commitment to not only, Sarah, your small business, but also your commitment to the real benefit to all of our small businesses in our cities. So thank you both, and thank you, Carl and Jonathan, for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. With that, Jonathan, if we'll move to the next slide, and we'll introduce the chairs of the Small Business Recovery Working Group that the mayor referred to, Sarah Ava Marchese and Mike Mastriani.
Good morning, everybody. I think the mayor put it very well when we were talking about our 3 goals of both access to capital for not only recovery purposes, but also currently to try to help stabilize. Sarah Ava and I have been talking a lot about getting some type of assessment to find out where we are in terms of our community with businesses in dire straits, businesses that are okay but are struggling, and businesses that are probably going to be able to do well until the reopening. We're looking at providing information both in English and in Spanish through webinars and one-on-one to try to help assist our businesses in looking at what needs to be done in recovery. And I think that having the governor's information sent to us at Restore Illinois yesterday has provided some sense of direction and clarity in terms of where we need to be going and the timeline for that to occur. We're hoping that our committees will be able to look at both the emotional and physical needs for us to reopen. We're looking at financial assistance now and in the future as businesses begin to reopen. We're looking at trying to utilize the expertise of the people on the committee to be able to understand and contribute to some ideas. We want to be able to link with some things that Transform Rockford is doing as well. We're looking at some funding, hopefully from the SBA, to help provide additional advisors and resources for us for helping people in our community to be able to get into the recovery phase. With that, let me turn it over to Sarah Ava and see if she has some things to add.
Thank you, Mike. Let me just say it's a pleasure to, though obviously under difficult circumstances. I'm honored to be a part of this conversation. I am just in awe of the spirit of Rockford, and the mayor, in his words, captured the history and the legacy of this city, its ingenuity, its creativity, and its innovation. And I know I'm inspired by it, and I truly believe that the people here in this conversation and in this city have the power, the creativity, the strength to continue to do amazing things, even as we struggle to move forward after this very difficult time. As Mike said, we've had a number of conversations already, and I've tried to think about this as much as I can from the perspective of being a small business owner. It does take a lot of courage. If any of you, and I'm sure a lot of small business owners in the city are like me, you put a lot into it. It's a huge risk, and it is a practical, matter of how am I going to pay my bills, and it's also very emotional because so much of entrepreneurship is about facing each day and being creative and overcoming obstacles, and half of them in your head. So I think he captured a lot of what we've talked about. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to building a business, especially, regardless of, where you're coming from, there are two things that I think are most important and powerful. One is having capital, first of all, to start your business, to keep it going, and then obviously in terms of revenue. And so we've talked about the need to bring funding here. I, as a business owner, am also super mindful of making sure that people know when businesses are open, again, that they are coming back and supporting them, because that money will only go so far and last so long. And to achieve the mayor's goals, I think is right, to be better than we were before. That's going to be key. And then also, he mentioned about your expertise, and again, having come back to the city, having been away for many years and having grown up here but come back, have been just amazed at the incredible wealth of wisdom and insight from people who've built businesses here, built them and left, or built them and stopped, or continue to. And I'm a huge advocate of the power of good mentorship. I know there are a lot of studies that have found that some of the reasons, that the big distinction between businesses that succeed and businesses that fail, especially when you're looking at female-run businesses and minority-owned businesses, it's about having great mentors, people that help you. And I think now more than ever, that's necessary. It's defined why I draw a clear line between where I was and where I am now, and the beginning is to get to talk to people who knew a lot more. It speeds up the process. It helps you solve problems faster. And so one thing that I hope that I come to the table hoping that we can make happen is to be sure that we're taking all of the amazing resources that Rockford has to offer small businesses in terms of its brain power and talent, and using that to work together to, like you said, not just survive, but to thrive on the end of this, because I truly believe that that's where Rockford is going. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, both Sarah, Ava, and Mike, for those words. Thank you for your contribution of time and leadership as we start this recovery working group focused on small businesses. And Sarah, Ava, I think you hit it on the head there, that support system, that mentorship, that advisory, that's something that the city of Rockford is committed, as we are, as small businesses who are already challenged with just the operations and growing their business, and now facing the challenge of COVID-19. We want to make sure that every single one of you feel that you have somebody who you can turn to for support, for answers. We can't make the decisions for you. You make the decisions, but we're committed to helping you get the resources and information that you need. Jonathan, are you able to forward the slides? Are you able to enable those? Great.
So I just want to first start off by saying thank you to Mayor Tom McNamara for his leadership and his administration and teams that he has assembled. I want to thank Mike and Sarah Ava, along with Carl, the phenomenal team that I get a chance to work with. You know, as just hearing some of the comments, I had a story that I'm reminded of, and it started up in 2006 when I started a small business myself. I risked a lot of my own personal capital. I put a lot of time and energy and effort into just trying to ensure that the business does well. And in 2007, it did. I had a very successful year in 2007. I was in my infancy stage of my business, and I was really looking forward to things. And then 2008 happened. And if you can all recall, that was the time of the Great Recession. And a lot of businesses went through some very, very challenging times through that experience, mine included. And there were bailouts. There were bailouts for big manufacturing, financial institutions, a lot of big business, but a lot of the small businesses, they suffered. They suffered greatly, which is why I'm so proud to work with the administration, the current administration here in our city. They recognize that small business is the lifeline of a community. And they are working, the city of Rockford is working tremendously hard to make sure that our small businesses are supported and they are assisted in the greatest extent possible to ensure that we get through this economic environment that we find ourselves in. So the moment that the first stay-at-home order was issued and businesses had to shut their doors, we went right to work in identifying resources and funding opportunities that were going to assist small businesses. And that effort resulted in the COVID-19 business resource page, which can be found on the City of Rockford's website. That resource page lists a lot of different funding opportunities from the federal level to the state level, right down to the local level. And those resources were made available to the public as soon as possible so that our business community would feel like they have a place they can go to find the resources that they need to help their business to survive and get through this pandemic, this economic environment. And while everyone has heard about the PPP and a disaster recovery program, we are actively updating that resource page weekly. As new resources become available, as new opportunities emerge, we vet them out and we get them on our page to make sure that our small businesses have the best information available and it's accessible to them so they can take advantage of the opportunities to help their small business grow and thrive. And so I encourage everyone to continue to keep their eye on this page because it is updated weekly. Another funding opportunity that has recently emerged is going to provide more opportunity for some of our small businesses. And Carl here, he is the Director of Community and Economic Development, is going to share some of those ideas that this new funding opportunity will present. I'll turn it back over to Carl.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I just wanted to say that I'm still learning the technology. So as there were glitches in getting the panelists on, and I don't know if the slides are moving or not, but I guess I can manipulate that as well. So, you know, what we wanted really the focus of this webinar, in addition to introducing the small business recovery team, is really digging in deep to the latest addition to that business resource guide, which, as Mayor McNamara teased, is a a loan for micro enterprises using our community development block grant dollars. Community development block grants are provided to the city from the federal government through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the city receives an annual allocation, which we use for a variety of purposes, including economic development. But the CARES Act allocated additional dollars specifically in the response to COVID-19. And so the cities will be receiving approximately $1.3 million. And as we looked and talked with community partners and really analyzed where the unmet needs were, we really listened to the businesses who were expressing frustration, not just with the overwhelming demand for the federal programs and the state programs, but with the inability to access them. The inability to meet the underwriting guidelines, or the inability because they didn't have an existing banking relationship and have a priority in that system. And these are business owners who are they're living in Rockford. They're in our neighborhoods. They're working just as hard as everybody else, not just for the success of their businesses and their livelihood, but their employees, their customers, their community. And so, really pleased that this money is coming. That we're not going to be able to meet all of the demand with $1.3 million, but we want to get this money into micro enterprises' hands as quickly as possible so that we can ensure sustainability through this crisis for as many as possible. So an overview of what the program is going to look like. It is a loan program with a 4-year term. That includes 12 months of deferred payments, so no payments over those 12 months. I will note on the bottom of the screen here, we will have quarterly reporting required, because even though you're not going to be making a payment, we still want to keep a pulse on how your business is doing, so that if number one, if there's any other supports that we provide, but number two, just assess the pulse of your business as going through that deferment period. These are going to be 0% interest loans. We want to make these as simple as possible. And we're going to look at the impact that your business had related to COVID, at the lost revenue and at what your actual working capital costs are. But we'll be able to provide up to $15,000 for those working capital costs. And so those working capital costs, that's going to be your rent, payroll, if you're keeping individuals on payroll, utilities, all those types of things. What you're not going to be able to spend it on, you're not going to be able to do a build out or construction. We're not looking to expand businesses at this time. We're looking to sustain them. And so the application process will delve into that a little more. And as I said that, there was something else I wanted to say, but hopefully it comes to me as we keep going on. In terms of the qualifications, understanding that we're going to have capacity for 60 to 70 loans, depending on how much we award. We wanted to make sure that we were tailoring this loan product to those that were being shut out of existing products, whether at the state, local, state, or federal level. Within the guidelines of the Community Development Block Grant Program regulations set by the federal government. And so a business that qualifies as a micro enterprise and has 2 to 5 employees, which includes the owner, does not matter how you're incorporated. It could be a partnership, it could be an LLC. But if you meet those, you meet the first requirement. And then the owner has to meet low to moderate income thresholds. The whole goal of the Community Development Block Grant dollars, with everything we spend them on, is to benefit low to moderate income individuals and access to economic opportunity. And so the owner has to meet those thresholds, and I'll cover what those are in a little bit. The owner has to be a Rockford resident, and the business has to be located in Rockford. Now, if you're in Rockford, or if you don't meet that qualification, you potentially could access a program funded by CDBG through the state called the Downstate Business Stabilization Grant, but you'll want to talk to your municipality about the qualifications for that, as they need to apply on your behalf. We have very generous underwriting requirements. We're looking for individuals who didn't meet underwriting requirements of the SBA, so only a 500 credit score is required. You do have to be incorporated prior to the pandemic, so prior to March 15th, 2020, but that doesn't mean that you need to be open. Perhaps you just were getting ready to open and this came and you weren't able to open your doors. You're still in cost, weren't able to bring in revenue. You would still qualify for this program. You're going to have to demonstrate a negative impact related to COVID-19. I don't think that this is going to be a challenge for businesses, but we do want to assess the level that you've been impacted and size the loan toward that impact, so that if you aren't at the $15,000 level of impact to sustain you through this, we're able to redirect some dollars to additional loans to help more businesses. You also, again, understanding that we're trying to reach businesses that haven't had other resources. We're not going to, businesses that have been able to receive a loan or a grant through another mechanism will not qualify for this one. You can't have been in arrears on your property taxes or other city taxes as appropriate to your business prior to March 15th. You have to meet the eligibility of the CDBG program and be eligible to receive federal awards. And one way you prove that is obtaining a DUNS number and also registering for SAM.gov. And you can find out how to get a DUNS number or register for SAM.gov on the business resource guide that Jonathan referred to that's located on the City of Rockford's COVID-19 webpage. This is an illustration of what the income limits are. I will stress this is a point in time, and HUD changes these regularly, and we are anticipating that HUD will provide us further guidance on the application of the specific CV money. And so even if you don't meet what's shown on the screen here, and if you're close, or check out the application when it becomes available, because we'll have the point in time, the actual ones on that application. But a couple points to note, this is based on your household size. So all income from adults located within your household are counted and need to fall under the threshold at the time of application. You will show this with a 2019 tax return, as well as an affidavit attesting to that all income is being accounted. That will be needed for the application. That's a self-certification process. As we process the loan, we'll come back to you and request documentation to support that. SAM.gov, I referred to it earlier. If you are at all interested or think you're going to apply for this loan, register for SAM.gov today. It is free. The DUNS number is free as well. However, I cannot distribute money until your registration has been processed, and processing can take up to 2 weeks. And so understanding that it's going to take us some time to process the loans, I don't want to be ready to award a business funds and then have to wait another 2 weeks because they didn't register for SAM.gov. So please do this now. It's free, does not take a lot of your time. It's just the processing on the federal government side that takes up to the 2 weeks. And to give you a sense of our timeline here, we're spending this week doing webinars and sending emails and flyers and doing marketing. We want to make sure that all businesses who are going to qualify for this to know that it's available, understand what the qualifications are, ask questions to determine whether it's the right choice for their business. And we want it set up so that it's not a race to the first one to do an application. We want applications to be good applications, complete applications to assist us in the processing of them. So we're going to have an application period. We anticipate this starting Monday, May 11th, and ending at the end of the workday on Thursday, May 14th. I say anticipate because we're using a software program as a portal for the application, and we're currently customizing that to the City of Rockford and qualifications. And so certainly anticipate, but we'll be messaging out if there is a delay in that. The application link will be on our website. It'll redirect you to a portal where you will answer the questions of qualifications and upload appropriate documents. All successfully, the complete applications that self-certify as meeting the qualifications will then be determined by random lottery electronic lottery on Friday, May 15th. And so we anticipate by the end of next week to be able to inform the 70 businesses that we anticipate being able to award, that we will review their documents and confirm eligibility. We'll also let several other businesses, 20 other businesses, know that while they're not in that 70, they're queued up in case it's been documented that some of those 70 do not actually qualify. And then we'll inform the rest that at this time, there's no funding opportunity. However, we do anticipate additional CDBG dollars from the CARES Act. We just, in the future, we just don't know what rules HUD is going to place on those dollars, the formula that they're going to be distributed to entitlement communities like Rockford, and when we receive those, what other needs we may have related to the response in COVID-19. The week after next, starting May 18th, we'll do that income qualification. My staff will be in contact with businesses selected for appropriate documents and ensuring that they meet those income thresholds. And then Jonathan and I will, once that's determined, Jonathan and I will work with businesses to do that COVID-19 impact underwriting to determine the size of the loan. And then we'll be able to sign a loan document and distribute those funds. That's a lot of information in a relatively short period of time. I don't see any questions being typed. I hope that I'm appropriately providing people the opportunity to do that. But if you're trying to type a question and it's not coming through, I apologize, one, but email us at businessfirst@rockfordil.gov. And that's not only related to the information that's in this webinar, but it's related to any questions you have on the programs available. We may not be the expert, we may not be able to answer it directly, but we're working with a small business resource network at the state and local level, and we'll make sure that you are connected to somebody to get the up-to-date, accurate information that there is. With that, and not seeing questions, I want to thank Sarah, Ava, and Mike, and the mayor who had to leave us, and Jonathan for all the work that, there is a question that comes up. It's what resources are here to help at lease? I believe I'm going to interpret that to be for leases. So number one, your lease is a working capital expense, and so could be an eligible use under the CDBG program. If you're looking for information about working with your landlord to defer some lease payments, the Business Resource Guide has a template produced out of the University of Chicago to help engage that conversation with your landlord and put together a structure of some deferred payments and a payment plan to catch up on that in the months following this pandemic. So, all right, with that, thank you very much. Please email Business First if you have additional questions. We will have this recording on our website, and we'll also just section off the CDBG side so that you have, and I apologize, let's keep answering questions. They're coming in. So there's a question about the options for new business owners. I'll reiterate that if you're a new business owner, if you are at least incorporated prior to March 15th and meet all the other qualifications, you would qualify for our CDBG microenterprise loan. You are correct that several other loan programs do require longer existence to be able to show the revenue impact and different things. Please reach out to us if you have additional questions on that. We'll connect you to them. You all have to live in Rockford. The 51%, the person who owns 51% of the majority holder who's would have to live in Rockford for the CDBG program. If there's other, if within those 5 employees, there are minority owners, no, they would not have to.
And Carl, if I can just piggyback off of that, I just want to let our listeners know that for the person who is starting a business, we do have a tool here at the Economic Development Office with Business First. That's a program where if you are thinking about starting a business or you're newly established a business and you're still wanting some guidance, Business First is an excellent tool for business owners, entrepreneurs to take advantage of. Is where we bring you together with a lot of different agencies in the city and the county to sit down at one table and talk about the permitting that's involved, the health department issues that are involved, the water reclamation issues that are involved with zoning, and also with Mike from the Small Business Development Center. So that's a great tool for small business owners, for entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting a business that they can take advantage of. While we have suspended those meetings that we do have for Business First, it is a temporary suspension. We do anticipate bringing that back as we begin to reopen, and we clearly want to make sure that that tool is available to entrepreneurs, small business owners who are looking to start a business here in Rockford and need that guidance and information that's going to help them be successful in their pursuit.
Let me also add to that, if I can, that the Small Business Development Center, Edward Caceres and I can assist in business planning, in digital marketing, in social media and website support, and also some basic HR support, and also helping with access to capital. Our services are at no cost to the participant, so long as you just become an SBDC client. And information is confidential, but we're supported through the SBA and through the contributions of some banks, and of course the match dollars from the Chamber of Commerce, so the participants don't pay anything. And we are helping and assisting clients that are starting new businesses even now. As Jonathan said, we may not have our meetings that we usually have, but we certainly are in touch very frequently with Carl and Jonathan and others, and we can provide that assistance through the internet. So if there is a desire to start a business or to grow a business, we are available to help in that as well.
Great. With that, thank you again, Mike, Jonathan, Sarah, Ava. Thank you all for joining. This will be recorded. There will be a link to it on our COVID-19 website. And so please share that with other interested businesses. And if you have additional questions, please email us at businessfirst@rockfordil.gov. Once again, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.